Time for us to get our insurance commissioner in here. We got Tim Temple in the house. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Glad to be in Baton Rouge this morning. We've been on the road a lot this week.
A lot of town hall meetings, a lot of questions coming your way.
Yes, sir. You know, everybody's asking about insurance, as you can imagine.
Not everybody. It's sadly, it's okay. No. I'm not going to start off by being ill behaved. We were supposed to start talking today about what package of bills you are either, contributing to, supporting, putting putting your name behind, that whole sort of thing. That was the intent. All right. But that was before Saturday. Saturday, 4 constitutional amendments failed. One of them was constitutional amendment number 2, and it directly affects everything that goes on during a fiscal session because it was all about tax reform. How bad did your potential insurance package get hit on Saturday? Because now it feels like every chance we have to take our eye off the ball when it comes to insurance, we end up losing concentration. We're like the dog from Up. We every chance we get to get distracted, we seem to get distracted. How bad did Saturday hurt?
I think it's actually the reverse of that. I think it's helped. I think it has highlighted the fact that we have been taking our eye off the ball every chance we get.
Okay.
And a lot of people, look, I've been watching, I look at a lot of the social media. I talk to a lot of people every day. The town hall meetings, nobody's talking about the failed CAs. And look, we need serious tax reform. I'm looking forward to, the legislature going back and the governor going back and working on it coming forward. We need it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody that I'm talking to in these town halls, they keep saying, what are we doing with insurance?
Yeah.
What are we doing with insurance? I say it all the time. You pay taxes on dollars you make, right? Yes. You pay insurance regardless whether you get that insurance bill before you even make a dollar. You've got to pay it. And that's what people in businesses are focused on. Mm-hmm. They want affordable and available insurance. And so I think you're going to see a full-throated approach this session. We've been working for months on a package of bills. We've been engaged with legislators on this package of bills. And you're going to see once Friday, the deadline to file your bills drops and we know everything that's out there, we're going to be able to, we're going to be talking about a very focused approach to bring about legal reform, auto reform, whatever you want to call it, to Louisiana.
We're talking with our insurance commissioner, Tim Temple. Okay. Let's start with property. Homeowners insurance, because we saw some movement last year. We saw some improvement last year. We saw that when your office pairs up with legislators to get something done, we're capable of doing this. We're capable of moving the ball down the field. How will we continue when it comes to homeowners insurance this coming session?
Yeah, look, we have additional bills. I've always said that, insurance reform is not a one and done.
No.
You've got to constantly continue to tweak it and improve it, just like maintenance on your house.
Right.
Our legislation and regulation, we want to constantly improve it. All the other states around us, they're in session right now. Georgia just passed some tort reform. South Carolina is passing tort reform. Florida recently, over the last several years, have passed meaningful tort reform. So we got to keep doing that too. We're not going to catch up because we're so far behind. I'm not saying we can't ever catch up, but we got to keep moving so that we don't fall further behind. And so property reform, we're going to bring some more bills, tweak a couple of things to continue to improve. Mm-hmm. That market is improving. I think you've seen, and a lot of your listeners, we've pushed some information out. The number of increases filed are coming down. Mm-hmm. The rates that they're filing for are coming down. And we're also seeing, for the first time since I think 2020, insurance companies filing for rate decreases on property. So the reform is working.
Wow.
Look, and I'm as pleased as can be. I didn't think it was going to happen that fast.
Right.
I think we got to draft a little bit off of Florida. They had passed some reform back in up to 2022. Theirs was tested with hurricanes Helene and Milton. Mm-hmm. And I think the industry said, okay, look, this reform is working, and we're going to get a little bit of benefit from that. So I'm very excited with property, but we're going to take the same approach with auto.
Okay.
Work with stakeholders, work with legislators, and get some meaningful reform done so that people can start to see an improvement on their auto premiums.
What is meaningful reform going to look like in this session? Because we've tried numerous times, and I know it's got to be frustrating to continually run into brick walls, but the big one from last year was collateral source.
Yes.
And the number of legislators who are now saying, well, that wouldn't have fixed anything anyway. No, it would have. That's why you passed it. It just got vetoed. So Are we taking another stab at that one directly?
Yeah, look, we are. And look, we have changed the terminology on that. Collateral source, I think, is the legal reference to it. And we're now calling it medical transparency.
Okay.
Transparency and medical billing.
Yeah.
And look, the opposition, the party of status quo are attacking, saying, "Oh, look, they're just trying to change the name," and they make that like it's a negative.
Mhm.
We're actually trying. We want everybody to understand what we're talking about. Medical transparency. And I think most of your listeners know, this is the difference between when you receive medical treatment as a result of an auto accident. It's the difference between what the medical provider bills versus what actually ends up being paid.
Mhm.
And we all see those EOBs, those explanation of benefits that we get when we go use our medical insurance. There's that charged amount, and then there's a paid amount.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes there's a column for what we're responsible for too. So that's what we're talking about. That's the big bill. We've got I think several authors are going to bring several different versions of that. So I think we're going to have a very robust discussion on that. Distracted driving bill. That's one that we need to talk about. Distracted driving does increase frequency of accidents. We're not an outlier in the state of Louisiana, but we need to, this is one of those things where let's look at everything. Housley presumption, we've talked about that. If you get in an accident and you say you were injured, the accident should at least be able to, you can point to that was the cause of the injury.
Yeah. No. So this one is, this one is one that I absolutely love because I think it's an absolute game changer. And because it's very easy to explain. The Housley presumption is like, all right, 30 years ago, summer after my senior year of high school, I'm playing Legion baseball. I slide into second base at Bogalusa and I jam up my knee. My knee hadn't been right for 30 years. No reason to get operated on because I'm done playing. I can walk just fine, but it hurts. If I get into a car accident tomorrow, I can claim that knee injury happened in that accident
and not have to prove it.
Without question.
That's what we're just trying to bring some balance and a sense of fairness there. We've got a no pay, no play. And we're working on, what those limits are going to be. But effectively, if you don't have insurance, you shouldn't be able to recover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no pay, no play. It's pretty self-explanatory there. A comparative fault bill, a modified comparative fault, which really gets into again, I'm simplifying these for brevity here. But if you're a major contributor to the cause of the accident, you shouldn't be able to recover from that, or at least maybe you got a limit to a percentage. I was trying to think of a scenario here. If I'm driving down the road and I see an object in my lane and I swerve over and hit you,
okay,
I caused the accident.
Yes,
but I'm injured, and the way it is right now, I could probably sue you and recover for that.
Really?
So yes. So it's a modified comparative fault. I think 30, 33, 36 other states have a version of it. We need to get in the mainstream on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some conversations on that. A general damage cap, meaning that you can't just blow it out the top and sue for whatever you want. There's got to be some limitations on that. Attorney interest involvement. If you've got attorney on your claim, you need to notify immediately. Or if you've got even more, if you've got other people invested in the outcome of your litigation,
mm-hmm.
you need to, people need to know that. Judges and juries need to know that. We've got one that we want to reduce the premium tax that we pay on our auto premium. Reduce it. I think it's a little over 3% to 2%. Bring it in line with national numbers, and also that's a savings to us as consumers. That's a direct pass through. Notice of cancellation. We want to move it from 30 days to 45 days so that we as consumers have more time if an insurance company is going to cancel our policy, but also put in there that they have to give us the reason why they're canceling.
Okay.
They can't just say, sorry, and I think people do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good bill to let people know why insurance companies want to cancel. Another one I'm just thinking off the top of my head is that if insurance companies want to stop writing in certain areas, or they're going to withdraw, that they have to notify the Department of Insurance and let us know what their intent is.
Okay.
So, we're trying to bring more awareness to the consumers. I've got, we're talking about education, and I've got some bills in there about redirecting some dollars that we collect to fortified roof. I think a good one is after a catastrophic event, the state of Louisiana does benefit in the fact that, after Laura Delta Zeta Nida, $23 billion was spent in Louisiana from insurance companies that paid claims.
Wow.
$23 billion spent. Guess what? The state of Louisiana collects a lot of tax on that money. we want to redirect and allocate a percentage or a portion of that tax collected to the areas hardest hit, so that it goes to help rebuild those communities that were hardest hit.
Like directly into the fortified roof program, or just
fortified
overall?
roof? We'll come up with a lot of different ways that we can help. And look, I don't think the Department of Insurance should be the arbitrary, determine how that money is spent.
Right.
We just want to make sure it's allocated, and then we'll let the legislature, the governor, some other folks figure out how to best utilize those funds.
I would imagine the fortified roof program would be a popular target for that money to go to.
It should, and
CPRA would probably be in that mix.
And hopefully we can, again, we'll have those discussions about where that money should be allocated if the legislature has the will to do that. But look, we're coming up with we've got a big package, a very broad, comprehensive package. This is the issue of the I don't want to say of the year, it's multi-year, of the decade.
Let's go back to the town hall meetings that you've been attending and will continue to be attending. What you and I were talking during the break, it sounds like the public is on board here. I don't know about, I know I'm tired of it. Like I know that I'm about as fed up as can be with my car insurance rate specifically. I know that on a homeowner's front, I couldn't be happier with my homeowner's insurance right now. I just got a new roof and I love it. And the experience working with the insurance company, they were so helpful along the way. Between, the insurance company and then my roofing company, explaining all the steps of the process along the way. You don't get it all in one check. It's two different, but the whole, I'm good there. When it comes to the auto insurance, and I know I've got another kid about to roll on in 3 years from right now, but when I look at my friends in other states, very, very directly, there's such a gap, such a difference there. When on a homeowner's front, I know we're close to the Gulf. We have some natural occurrences that are going to affect me. When it comes to my car on the road, I shouldn't have to have those same ones. So what you're telling me is the pulse of the people that you're talking to is on board with that.
They are. Look, everybody is, I think you said it, fed up. They want to see action. They are demanding action. We have been kicking this can down the road, I'm told, for 40 years. There's legislators at the Capitol that tell me this has been a 30 and 40 year battle. And look, the battle has been between the insurance industry and the attorneys.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's just. I mean, those are the easy targets to pick. But this is, I think, the key is that while those two groups, and if you want to throw in medical providers and vendors and everybody else in there, it doesn't matter who's fighting. The point is the people of Louisiana are losing.
Right.
When those groups are fighting, we have got to stop fighting and start working together to bring serious relief to the citizens and businesses of Louisiana. We can't afford it anymore. There's a system that's working. A couple of businesses, a couple of people are making tremendous amounts of money, and the citizens and businesses of Louisiana are funding it. We've got to stop this.
That being said, your level of confidence heading into the session. I mean, you're hearing from the people. Are you hearing from the enough legislators as well to know you're going to have the votes?
Look, we have been engaged with the legislature. Our engagement never stopped. It has been constant since the day I took office and before I took office. And so I'm still in that naive period in office, but I am very optimistic. I know I'm optimistic about what our intent and what our goal is and the energy behind it.
Huge difference between optimism and naivety. Big difference there. So I'll stay with you on that optimistic front. He is Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. Greatly appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you.